Great. Great. Nice. Mm. Good. I'm wondering if we can start as the wave is relaxing, no? And I keep letting people in as they come. Beautiful. Wow. I'm very excited for this meeting. I'm very happy to see all of you. Some of you I know, some I don't. And yeah, I'm extremely happy, Pema, that you said yes to this meeting to allow us this encounter. Because when I thought about how will I invite people to a retreat with you, like how it's so difficult for me to describe, like to use words to this, to the grace of being with you, and growing through your grace and your presence and your teaching. So I feel that this is the best opportunity to just have this meeting, to feel your energy. And yeah, and I also invite everyone here to use this meeting, as I know that the part of it will be open for dialogue. And it's a great opportunity and chance to feel Pema and her beautiful energy. So with that, yeah, I hand it over and thank you.
Thank you so much. So, welcome everybody. Some names I recognize, some some are new, but welcome to all of you. So we have like a good 90 minutes together here now, and I would like to start our meeting with just a little bit of collection, a little bit of coming home, a little bit of meditation. So I invite you to sit in a way where you are comfortable. I invite you to start out before you close your eyes, just kind of noticing your body's posture. Pay attention to your feet, your lower legs and your knees, your thighs, your seat, your belly, ribs and lungs, your chest, your collarbone and shoulders. And allow yourself to close your eyes and just drop into this frame of yours, including the arms, the hands, and a deep and soft embrace of your head and throat. And from there, allowing yourself to sink down through the mind, down through the throat. Sink in to fall into the back of your chest, like really falling back in your seat, inside your body. I invite you to taste the flavor of the sensation in your lungs. Let yourself, in sinking in, also sink down and widen out to really take your seat in your body. Also to drop deeply into your belly. I want to invite you to pay attention to your hips and overall to sink in and down into the pelvic bone. Letting your shoulders roll back and drop down, releasing any sign of the day's doings. Now feeling your arms from the inside. What are they when gravity plays its part? Allow yourself to breathe with the lower front of your belly, resting in the core of your belly, and then allowing yourself to breathe in and out through the skin from the center of that belly. And allow that to become a proper drop into that seat. Really letting gravity lead you to be held in the body. Let the earth hold you. Let the soil of your body hold you. And letting that soil hold you, you can really start to breathe from a place of resting in yourself. Touch with the ground, in touch with your belly, touch with your body, in touch with the source of all of it. Now letting all parts of your inside intimately connect with each other. Can allow yourself to feel that connection that exists between this deep rest in your hips and pelvis and your lower belly, and its connection all the way up through to your brain. So when you allow for an inner surrender and relaxation through the head, see if you can feel that thread between the top and the bottom. You are that thread. So when you allow yourself to feel both in your ground, feel through in your heart, feel in your head too, to expand into that deeper connection between all parts of you. This is when things really click inside, where balance can be touched and reached. Between your mind, your body, your being. Invite you to breathe with the deepest intimacy with yourself, the fullest yes, to feel exactly how it is for you to rest into your frame right now. And whenever you feel ready to, I invite you to slowly return to our mutual space. Hello. Welcome back. Thank you very much. Mm. So we have like a little hour together now, and I would like to open this space for an exploration within the outline of intimacy, so to speak. So it's very much the relational field. It's very much our intimacy with ourselves and with each other, of course. And then the fact that intimacy is basically the flavor and the frequency of our deeply feminine essence. And by feminine essence, I don't just mean for females. I mean the nature of that essential wisdom and flavor, which is at the center of our being in dance with the masculine. So we both hold both masculine and feminine side. And when these are in balance, we can really open some amazing doors in our being. So the flavor of that essence is that is the intimacy. So it's basically a frequency in our being, which is very much waiting to return into that balance with our masculine as well. So a deep welcome to all of you. And I would really love to just open that space of in whichever way that you would like to explore this topic in your own life, in your own living reality, in your own being and self knowledge, in the embrace of a life of fullness, a life rich with the flavor of your unique and eternal being, but also your finite sweetness. Yeah, so the floor is open. If you would like to engage, I invite you to use this raise hand function, which you find down in like under my face here, and you find that in the like there's like a hand there. You can wish, and then I see you would like to engage. Welcome, everybody. Hi, Marie. Hey, welcome to unmute yourself. I don't know why your sound is not. Maybe you need to turn it up in the preferences so I can hear you. No, I can't hear. Oh, there you were. That was a sound? No. I can't hear you now. Hey, everybody else hear me okay, right? Can hear me. Good. Good. So while you get your sound on, I'm just gonna share a little bit on this journey of ours into this, and just speak out when it's possible for you, Marie. Yeah, this life is very much inviting us to come into a fullness and embrace our true potential. And that potential gives us possibility of living a life from a completely different place than when fear is playing a part in our lives and our way. And then we're exploring that field together, that field of intimacy together. We are doing more than just aiming at getting closer. We're actually embracing that, the totality of that potential together, because through that deep integration of our essence and our opening into all of the human qualities that comes with that, like the patience and the kindness and the beauty of that, we are we're really integrating that on a very deep level of maturing in our human being and our understanding, our deep insight, and that coming into true wisdom, which is also there. Are you finding your way, Marie Fiona? Still can't hear you. Mm, yeah. You're welcome to write if you want to. Then I can look at if you want to write in the chat. Yeah. The invitation into this intimacy is in very many ways a reduction away from our very put together separate self and into a field of a deep connection which goes beyond just connecting with each other, which is a huge value, of course, the connection with each other. That's good. But it's actually a connection, a deep connection and unity into source as well as it's a return to and a deep connection with nature itself and the totality of that power of creation, which some like to call God, some like to call source, some like to call whatever it is. At the center of all of this, obviously, there is a revelation happening for us, which also develops those parts of our humanity which are, I want to say, still in immature stages, parts of ourselves that we have not developed, and we haven't developed them as consciousness, and we haven't developed them as feeling beings. And in many ways, it's those that make us truly humane because they are so deeply linked with our vulnerability. Yeah. Anyway, I can just speak and speak, but I'm going to give you a chance to to respond as well. What does it mean when we turn ourselves towards this learning. Because there's more to it than just an awakening. And there's more to it than just finding our way back to our heart, for instance. There are very many pathways of learning and reconnection within us that are waiting to come online, that are waiting to really become a part of our perception and our feeling, you know, that our being and our feeling and our seeing can all be connected into a deep web of wisdom and of intelligence, actually. Mm. I think you formulated the question very well, Natalia. Just so that everyone can hear the question, or what to call it. I'm scared to fully open my heart to the love and to loving myself, to expressing myself freely and receiving love as well. I don't know how to formulate the question. Mm. Well, the part of loving is really to come online as soul, as being, right? But it's more than that. What you're putting here is as well the part of expressing and receiving. And here we have the vulnerability. And we all find that vulnerability to be so challenging. We do that because, well, we're living in a world where we've learned to pack away our vulnerability, right? We've learned that the toughest one gets the front seat or something like this. And there's a strength within our vulnerability that is waiting to come about. And it can seem very, I want to say, frightening for that separate self, which we are holding as a protection. Because actually, when we allow that vulnerability, not only are we opening ourselves for interaction from a place of owning sense, feeling, we're also opening ourselves for the strength of the being that comes with that sense of feeling. And that is actually that power of creation. I would say the main thing about our not daring to express and receive, there's both the part of, okay, having to meet the wound of basically feeling not good enough for the love that's waiting, but also that there is a big door waiting to open to actually allow you a life where you are so much more than worthy of it, that it's your real life. It's your deep, free, and real living that allows for a sweetness and as well as the pain, you know. It's really opening a door for both pleasure and pain. And when we're afraid of the pain, then we can't allow the pleasure either. So that's one of the things that we really close down as humanity. We close down feeling, we close out pain, but we also close out pleasure, and our joy goes as a result. So to find our way back to that humility of yes to feeling life, yes, absolutely. That self-love means a lot. Mm-hmm. It's not a small thing to fall in love with ourselves. It's not a small thing to let that love, to let your love meet your ground and to expand that entire inner field of perception to hold both all of your pleasure and all of your pain. Mm. The fear as such can hold us back, or it can be met kindly, compassionately, and then help us actually to open despite the existence of that fear. It requires that we really want to, that we're willing to be present with whatever arises as a part of opening, to handle all flavors of that interior, and to come into a love and an appreciation actually of all parts of your existence. Now that's intimacy. Mm. Not needing to withdraw or retract from any part of your existence, but more like meeting it with presence, with kindness, with love. Hey, you.
Hello, can you hear me
There
now?
she was. Yeah, I can.
Now I'm with my phone, so.
Wonderful.
Um,
Hey, you.
Oh, hello. So beautiful to be here. Mm, yeah, and very, very fitting what you were saying so far about fear and feeling pain and feeling pleasure.
Mm.
Yeah. Um, I I'm in Mexico right now. I'm back in Ridaya in the school, and I started a few days ago actually the teacher training, which is very beautiful and also very intense. And um, I just feel a lot of fear right now.
Mm.
And I cannot even say what the fear is about. Um, and I just noticed, like, also whenever I I came home, there was a sense of like I just want to cry and to like shake. And I think there's the sense of like there's no space for my emotional body. Um, which feels very frightening. And yeah, it's mainly about not allowing myself to feel in like all this meditation and everything, to also allow myself to feel and let emotions pass through. And I can see it's more like a misunderstanding of how I should be and sit and just witness. Um, but yeah, something in me feels very frightened and doesn't feel met and doesn't feel seen, which makes it like even stronger. Yeah, so this is what's present right now.
I mean, there are definitely benefits to be had from various practices like the one you're describing, you know. But in terms of like coming into your actual womanhood and your primary essence, from there, I would say it's not healthy to cut off, you know. But to actually come into the fullness of yourself, we do actually want to grow both in our capacity as pure witness, both in our capacity to love unconditionally, but also in that ground where we can really become truly strong in our vulnerability, you know?
Yeah.
Actually, that there's a coming through, it's a recognition of source in that ground as well, just like there is
Yes.
in the head and just like there is in the heart. And
Yeah.
I want to say the most challenging one I found is actually the ground one.
Yeah.
And I say that because actually it evokes an incredible amount of fear also, you know? And also
Yes.
because actually in that ground we're faced with a reflection that goes straight up on our physical body. Like it's literally like when we start touching through those gates where we get in touch with a deeper inside than just a separate identity in the ground, everything in the system starts like start shaking. That was actually the word you used before, right? It's like it can really evoke those parts that are just reflect straight up on instinct and survival and all of those things that are very body bound.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, it's very different. But some people, the silence and emptiness is the most scary thing. For others, it's the fire of the heart, you know, and for some, it's the ground. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it's really both for me, but somehow in a beautiful balance. And I feel like what's so frightening is that there's no time or space for these other like practices or parts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I understand. If you ask me, that is a little bit scary. I mean, it's yeah. I mean, all inclusion. If you want to talk about truth as all inclusion, we're talking about every level and every layer being included. So if we're going for aspects where it's not included, um, I would hope that we become wise enough to not cut off a leg and an arm here and there, you know? That we find our way to an all inclusion, which allows every level of truth to be present, whether it is that silence of the mind, or it is that light in the heart, or even it is that deep, dark feminine as well.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. I was, I think, for a moment gone when, so I didn't get the start of what you were saying, but I kind of entered again when you talked about the fear of letting really the love in. And this is something I also encounter. And it was also the last ceremony that I said, when which I could feel it so strongly, this like just love pouring from all sides and like wanting like really coming closer and closer and closer, and me getting so frightened and feeling like I want to push it away and I want to fight against it.
Mm.
And this is like a very strong image and sensation I feel once in a while also like coming up.
We're talking
Yeah,
about, we're talking about layers of resistance. We're talking about layers of self-protection, right? When it
yeah,
comes, yeah.
yeah,
Again, there's nothing wrong with anything. But I do invite you to be kind there, and yet
yeah,
to there's an inner switch from pushing away to allowing your receptivity. Yeah.
yeah,
One is like this, and the other is a welcoming, an invitation, actually.
yeah,
Mm. And here, please also be aware that we have very different wiring from person to person in regards to our relationship with the masculine energy and the masculine love
mm,
and the feminine love.
mm,
And we often have a problem receiving actually the opposite sex parent
mm,
in terms of that, yeah, receiving love from the opposite essence. Yeah. Mm. Surrender is a challenging game, but it really is a game of bringing home that unity with that which is so much bigger than we are as these
yeah,
separate entities, right? Mm.
yeah. Yeah, when I like try to surrender into it, for me, it's mainly about just really staying present with the moment and what is, and yeah, to not go into my mind or into the fight. Because yeah, I mean, sometimes I also tell consciously with my mind, try to surrender, but it's I think for me mainly about just staying present with the moment. How or do you have any such other ideas or suggestions to?
Yeah, actually,
Mhm.
it's like, to recognize yourself as all of these other aspects of being, you have to let them in and unite. So, unification is an incredibly important part of realizing your own capacity and your own true potential. So, to the extent that you're trying to hold something or keep something out, that's basically based on the story that just because you don't know that which it feels like is penetrating you in that moment, because you don't know it, it must be foreign, it must be something else. But it's not the reality. The reality is that the deeper that you let in that power of being, the more you're going to recognize and allow for that unification that allows you to realize that you are that also. So you're basically going to end up with a perception which is so flexible that you can take the shape of any aspect of your being, that clarity, that vast expanse of mind, that expanse of love and of pure light presence, that deep rooted, deep seated, wide, heavyweight fullness of being. And you can take those shapes as you like, but it's like the more you actually come to experience the totality of being, when that space in the mind bows, when that light in the heart bows, then actually the fullness that comes into expression actually holds every aspect of your being in one go.
Mm,
That's where you basically stop wanting to move into all of these other
mm,
aspects. I mean, you can, but it's like, what is the most rich, the most full, the most all-inclusive, where every part of me is in that deep satisfaction. That is literally when we are fully bowed to the ground and really resting into that fullness of having the full yes to the reception of the love, and yet resting in a wideness of receptivity. Yeah,
mm,
this is where that that receptivity really allows us to be the invisible touch of intimacy upon everything, every part of life. Total deep inner connection with everything, because you are one with everything, but not from a cosmic universal perspective, but from a deeply detailed, tender touch of grace, you know? Yeah. Of deep appreciation, of real gratitude. Yeah.
Mm.
Mm.
Mm. Mm. Yes to that. I sign up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I'm noticing while we're talking how much I like drop again downward and into my womb space, and something it's really relaxing and melting into this space, and feels more grounded again,
Mm.
more rooted also in my women.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
And
if you
then
Mm.
yeah, and then it's like the judgment from the mind of like, oh, but you should not identify so much with your body, or transcend from there.
which
Yeah.
is yeah. But the thing is that transcending from there isn't actually about out of the body. It's actually beyond the body, but from the very core of the body.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Because it is true, in the ground we can end up deeply resting in the body, which is completely beautiful. From there, when we take that seat deeply in the ground, our wish to actually unfold in that space comes from breathing really deeply in that space and allowing more and more consciousness, more and more love to come into that space. So it's an increase, an increase, an increase in self-love, actually, in love into your core, that then allows you to live in a way that holds all parts, including this little human body.
Mm.
But inside of that, there's a dissolution of the self-protection that allows us to come in and touch and really unify the masculine and the feminine, you know? I refer to it usually as like the inner marriage. That when that inner marriage really comes, where the love, your consciousness really comes down to take a seat, but to be in there consciously, that starts unfolding that space, and that gradually cleans out that space. It gradually expands that space. And the more that you come in and the more space you create in that ground, the more an openness is there for um, that rolling forth. It's basically an initiation into that power of creation. And the gate to that power of creation lies basically well, below the navel and like basically in the back of the womb. In it's just like below the navel, same thing, all the way down towards the back, just like we can say through the heart, we can, and through the head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And man, that's a scary place. Like you said, it's almost more scary to go downwards, because every time I do really allow myself, which, because it's such a tense place that like, yeah, there's so much pain and so much anger and so much like, it really feels endless, and it's just dropping deeper and deeper.
Yeah, it isn't actually. It isn't endless.
Yeah.
You're learning to come to contain every flavor that you can get through your emotional body. That's a part of your learning as consciousness. So it's not actually that it's just endless with emotion there, you know, or endless with whatever you call it, or anger, or this or that or the other thing. There are layers there which are waiting to be met. And as they are met, and as you grow more and more and more as that that consciousness, which is truly bowing to the ground, that your masculine, your heart actually requires to be purified also, really, for that dropping down, because your masculine or your love, your consciousness is waiting to become completely hands off in a way that can be there as pure compassion, as the beauty really of such a graceful compassion there. And when we really open and hold that space, well, that's where we need to learn to deal with that spinning wheel of pure power that's coming online there. And that power which is coming online there, that can feel like a pressure, that can take the flavor of anger, that can do all kinds of things, but it's all because we are unconsciously creating.
Mm.
So to the extent that we actually come down as consciousness and with that will to come in and hold that feminine, it stops being destructive.
Mm.
Yeah. It can create and it can destroy. But when the feminine without the masculine is a destroyer. So when we really come in to hold the dragon, it's something completely different that's born. I can tell you it's immaculate beauty. It's literally beauty being born. Yeah.
Mm.
Pure grace. It's like it's dark light, black light. And another thing that's really scaring us that you said before is it's actually that part that we are in that descent, we are meeting a dissolution of our separation between darkness and light. And that's one of those things that's keeping a big part of our construction in place. It's actually that separation, we are used to kind of separate, like, I'm not okay. Here. We're used to separate there. So it's like, okay, we have subconscious and that's dark and black and like whatever. And then there's the light. And then we celebrate the light, but without seeing the real potential that lies in letting that darkness and light truly merge together. And also in a way where we come to live as that shimmering surface between darkness and light, where we don't need to withdraw as consciousness from some aspect of existence. This is really where we start getting, now we're getting closer, where we can really be with every part of our human existence without having to withdraw as consciousness.
Yeah.
Here we're really talking full presence with and consciousness and ability to hold ourselves in any feeling that may arise connected with pain or anger or fear or whatever else. Yeah. It's a hell of a maturation we actually go through in that. And we actually
What maturation?
a maturation, yeah. Born into be like real women and real men, like with the gravity of the fullness of not being scared of any part of us,
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm. Here we can talk about real intimacy. Because as it is, when we don't know how to embrace these things inside of ourselves, it also makes it incredibly hard for us to be actually truly intimate with each other. Because relationship then depends on certain aspects of the other not surfacing. While to the extent that we can actually bring so much consciousness into the equation that we don't feel a need to withdraw, to cut connection, but more come into actually that field where real sovereignty and real like integrity, the integrity in our relational field is really waiting to establish itself. But it can only do that if we take that journey, because as it is now, where do we end? When the mind projects, when there are aspects of ourselves we don't want to meet, and yet existence says we have to meet it again and again. So we keep on meeting it in each other because we keep rejecting it in ourselves. Yeah.
But I mean, can it be supportive to for the other one to bring certain things alive in us, but then of course we don't project it onto the other one, but we stay with it and support each other in that.
I'm married. I can say 100% yes.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I'm also lucky enough right now to be in a very, very beautiful and supportive relationship and container in which I do feel like these, there's a beautiful awareness in and growth also into our women and men.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
In that sense, our relational field is truly a cauldron beyond measure to bring about that full potential. Because when we are with each other in that sense, and we are, especially when it's a man and woman like this, or just of opposites, we
Yeah.
are we really have the opportunity to heal those wounds, those ways in which we are closing off the opposite essence or even our own primary essence. None of us really had that best of imprints. We're in a time where everything handed down in many ways have undergone so many distortions and and yeah, pains that were never dealt with and all of this. And we're standing with a lot of that ancestral wiring can be very heavy for many people today. Yeah. But together in that sense, yes, we can absolutely go through that healing together. And not only that one is going through the healing, but that the other learns exactly that aspect of a deep patience, a deep care, a deep compassion as well. Because as humans, that's maybe one of the things we have not developed so much, right? We've developed a lot of other things, and there's a time for everything, but I would say now is the time for this.
Yeah.
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 Mm. And it's more than that even. It's not just time to develop this, it's actually the life that comes with it. That we're able to be in relating to everything, each other, ourselves, the earth, all beings, to relate to that in a healthy and all-inclusive way. That is really time, and not just for that alone, but because it brings our entire existence onto a completely different frequency, where really our ground of joy is so solidly established. Our well-being is like first row instead of last row after all of the materialistic and all of the educations and all of the da 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 da, yeah. Yeah.
Mm. Mm. Thank you so much, Pema.
Thank you. It's really good to see
Mm. Yeah.
you.
Mm. Mm.
A big hug to you.
Big hug back.
Thank you.
Mm.
Mm. Mm. How can I manage disappointment without internalizing it and not making a meaning out of it? Well, there's something we got to learn in this whole descent thing, and it is in very many ways the part of being present with feelings without taking them personally. Actually, it's not the same as like disowning them or anything like that, but it's like we can honor and love and hold and take ever so good care of our humanity. But we got to do that as consciousness. We got to do that in being awake in that, and not automatically hooked on to a story of what we feel and things like this. And this is like an awakening aspect. It is something like being able to feel things without the automatic creation of a hook in the feeling. So disappointment can be there, and it well, very many waves of all kinds of different feelings can come with even the very fact of meeting existence. You know, the egoic structure can go through so many disappointments. The fears connected with a deep internalization of like reality, and like really like a sobering up in so many ways we can go through. And in that, it really comes down to being able to hold ourselves. And this is literally a matter of practice. Because to start with, we cannot hold ourselves in all feelings. But if we actually want to progress to the part of being able to fully integrate in a way where we come to that wholeness, where our consciousness no longer just takes off when there's a feeling we don't like, that holding requires practice. So it requires practice in holding this feeling and 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 this feeling. And it's like a whole piano of feeling, basically, that's waiting for us to really learn to fully embrace that. I want to say, though, that a big part of that kind of embrace is actually about embracing our complexity, because we have combined with this inner core of an identification with a separation from everything around us. That identification comes with, we are unconsciously, continuously spitting out creation. We are literally the power of creation, which is creating blindfolded. So from the subconscious, there are continuously like material coming. And to really truly be present with that is to come into a field where we mature, but we also go through our complexity in a way that leads us to an incredible simplicity. And this is actually our return to innocence, because from our complex, separated place, we have this whole piano of feelings. But actually, when we fully embrace that as consciousness, it kind of just slides down through a funnel, down into such a simplicity, which comes down to pleasure and pain. And that's where we're at when we really return to that innocence. We are left with pleasure and pain. So all of the interpretations that we make from that separate existence is creating, for one, disappointment as a feeling. To really be with that, you're going to expand, you're going to befriend the feeling of disappointment. You're going to be able to recognize the feeling of disappointment in your system, and you're going to lose the preferential part of your consciousness. So it's not like, I don't like this feeling, so either I have to do something with that feeling. Yeah? When you come as pure consciousness to be with that feeling, you're simply present with that feeling. That means there is disappointment. There is disappointment. You can, even when you are trained enough in that, bring it home as in, I am disappointed. But you can only do that from I'm not identified with the I who is having the disappointment. And in that case, it will be your body. Yeah. So it's not an extraction of identity. It is more like a reduction of complexity into the nature of the true identity. And from that place, there is just the sweet uniqueness of that body soul of yours, that human soul of yours. Yeah. A little about feelings, huh? Yeah. Our practice is really about getting stronger and stronger and stronger as that consciousness, which can be here without the need to abandon the ground. In that sense, I kind of refer to that inner marriage as also, it is a little bit like a sperm cell entering an egg cell and throwing the tail. And there's actually real magic that really starts there. When we're done leaving based on not liking the feeling that some situation is giving us, then we really land, and we get full access to that ground of wisdom that allows us to respond in real integrity, an integrity that includes both you and me, that it's not you against me, the way that it is when it's the separation that's moving on, like reaction. Yeah, so it becomes more response-based system. Responding is different from reacting. Yeah. And in addition, of course, it brings just an ever-growing space of kindness, actually, of really being able to be fully present and holding dear, to hold every aspect of yourself dear, even the afraid parts, even the whatever it is, to find out that there's actually no part of you which is an obstacle to anything related to anything really, truly, deeply meaningful and profound. That it's only that part of being used to kind of identify with and to work ourselves out of that identification through practice, through truly coming in to befriend all these different parts in a way where we end up not rejecting, but instead of rejecting, accepting. And not just accepting because we have to, but actually falling into this dearness place in ourselves when it comes to all of these parts. And of course, when we can do that with ourselves, we can do that with each other as well. It's a rare thing in this world, but so needed. Yeah. And first and foremost, you gotta acknowledge that you actually deserve that. That you are worth that love that is so unconditional, that no part is being excluded and banned, suppressed, denied. But there's a deep health, a mental health, a spiritual health. Even if you want to go there, a bodily health that is deeply connected with really being kind to ourselves on every layer, and to each other and to the world, because that's also totally connected. Yeah. In that sense, how can I manage disappointment? Befriend it. Become a friend of the feeling of disappointment. Then you no longer will need to do something with it, neither push it in or push it out or project it onto some story or make a meaning out of it or whatever. It's simply a feeling. Yeah. Of course, in such a space, we're talking real bloody healing possible, because it's like intelligence isn't just a blasting as it happens with the heart, and it isn't just a cutting as it happens with the head. It's the intelligence of water, and it seeps through every bloody crack. So any part of the wound that lies in there is waiting to be touched by that kindness, by that grace, by the beauty of that grace and the love of that grace. And it brings things back, it brings things home, and it brings to a deep inner sense of that kindness where nothing needs feel wrong, where shame can no longer hold its shackles on us, where guilt can no longer play any part. And not only that, but of course, it opens the door for us to live a life which is truly worthy of our soul and our being. Those are riches which are incomparable in this world. But it can only happen if we truly want that journey home to ourselves and back into that intimacy where we truly come in touch between our love and our body and being, and where we can celebrate the true value of our infinity and our individuality as well. Just waiting to, yeah. Such simple love. Such a simple love. Imagine what you will be without your reactive patterns, without the self-protection, resting in the nakedness of your soul, knowing how to hold yourself in this world in a way that allows for a full protection without protection from, but protection in. A protection that allows you to move with the fullness of that power, but in full integrity, in incredible strength of feeling, in vulnerability and patience, and most of all, maybe in humility. There's so much beauty waiting for all of us. It's incredible. It's really lovely, actually. Mhm. How to stimulate the inner part to respond instead of react. This is really about rooting in a consciousness which has a deep self-rest in it, kind of like I invited with the meditation here. When you're truly resting in yourself, and when you truly allow and build in that inner space through your practice. And when I say practice, it's actually simply application. When you really apply yourself as feeling, you grow in your capacity to feel. You grow in your capacity both in all of the different feelings, and you also grow in the capacity in depth, you know. When you can be with these different various feelings, then part of responding comes natural the deeper that you rest. But your deep rest also kind of requires that you are willing to, I want to say, explore those parts of you that actually elicit a reaction instead of response. To the extent that you find yourself reacting from self protection in various ways. This really wants to be touched. This wants to be seen. This wants to be healed. And for you to kind of dissolve these patterns through really being present with them. Yeah. So this is some of the work that I really enjoy to do with you guys. Yeah. And with that said, I am thinking that these might be some of the last words that I get to share with you here tonight. And just a few minutes, I want to give back to Smadar. Thank you so much, Smadar.
Thank you so much, Pema. Thank you so much for this beautiful transmission. It's more than beautiful, it's lifeful. Yeah, I just wanted to take a moment to share with everyone here that this type of space, this powerful seeing into reality, into the truth of ourself is possible with Pema. And we are organizing an intimacy immersion 1st, 2nd, and 3rd of November near Al Jazur. It's in a beautiful private location, immersed in nature, that we will share this type of field with the meditations, with these conversations that are peeling us layer after layer, and also Pema, you integrate, right, some movement or breath work and also things like that that help us integrate this into our body, into our life. We made a special early bird discount that is still valid for the next few days until October 1st. So the price will be 285 instead of 315, if I'm not mistaken. And I would like to put here in the chat the link.
And it's just for the ones who don't know, because you said the location, but you didn't say what country. And I know there are quite a few.
Portugal. Yeah. We are in Portugal, in the south of Portugal, the ones that don't know are totally welcome. It's really a blessed place that I feel is very resonant with this type of, can hold this type of beauty and transmission and teaching. So yeah, so the link is in the chat. You guys feel free maybe to press it and then it opens up in your browser and you can look it up later. Or also contact me or just go to Pema's website, pemasalem.com, and all the information is there. It will be such a blessing to have as many of you there. Yeah. And thank you so much for this beautiful meeting. It's such an honor and pleasure. Yeah. Until the next time.
Thank you, everybody. And yes, we have very many ways to play together when we share a space like that. So also want to invite you. Thank you so much. And thank you, Smada. Take good care, everybody. Good to see you. Thank you for showing up.